So there's this girl, and I've been thinking about her a lot. Her name's Nancy Pelosi, and I can't share the thoughts that I've had about her on this platform. Here's a video. Let's watch.
I mean, the fossil fuel industry, they weigh in so significantly. I mean, how could it be that nobody on the Senate side cares, and the Senate cares about climate? Some of them do, and they talk about it. When it comes to the votes, it just isn't there. They just aren't there. So rather than saying, well, we have to defeat them, no, let's just try to persuade them. I want the Republican Party to take back the party. Take it back to where you were, where you cared about a woman's right to choose, and you cared about the environment, and all.
She seems very animated for a 90-year-old, 190, and it's all the adrenochrome.
Hey, here I am, Nancy Pelosi, saying this country needs a strong Republican Party, and we do. Not a cult, but a strong Republican Party.
Oh, and they love it. Oh, and the liberals love it. Oh, do they love it? I hate her. I genuinely hate her, you know? This is the reason why that shared values shit with liberals only goes so far, you know? Because the audience is clapping, aren't they? It's not just her, it's a common sentiment. This idea that, I like how inherently contradictory her argument is here. Basically, she's saying, Republicans are lying. They'll claim to care about these issues, but then when it comes to the votes on the Senate floor, they won't vote in line with what they say they believe in. And then she goes on to say, we don't need to defeat the Republicans. We need to convince them. Convince them of what? You just acknowledged they were lying. What, convince them to not lie? How does that work? Is that a functional strategy? Oh, well, you know, they're dishonest and they clearly only lie about what they care about when capitulating to business. Well, convince them of what? To not lie? Like to change their interest? It's not about a disagreement. They just don't care about the things that you care about. The problem here is that Nancy Pelosi is waxing poetic about this fantastical core of the Republican Party that she seems to believe, that liberals seem to believe exists. This magical, noble core of the Republican Party, you know. Liberals can't fathom the idea of wielding power, disgust them because they're weak and spineless by nature. So they need to share power. They need to construct a controlled sort of in the framework opponent to limit their power, and to them that's the Republican Party. The problem with this little theory of theirs is that the modern day Republican Party, the actual Republican Party, is a psychotic shit pit, a dumpster fire of conspiracy theories and a desire to personally murder every minority that lives within the borders of this country. There is no, like, core noble Republican Party, you know. They're psychopaths. You don't, and all Nancy Pelosi does with this shit is continue the Democratic Party's this need that they have, okay, this need to pretend that bipartisanship is the solution. That while Republicans, they attempted a coup last presidential election, they're going to do it again this upcoming one. You know, Michigan recently got rid of all of their electorate, the electors who certified Joe Biden's election. You know, they're getting ready for the next coup. It doesn't matter. There can't be a democracy with the Republican Party. And meanwhile, Pelosi here is like, you know, we need to convince them, not fight. No, this is, and I'm not exaggerating, and you can think that I'm exaggerating here if you want, but you're wrong to do so. This is as psychotic as employing this language in like mid to late 20s, like Germany. Like, obviously, in retrospect, nowadays, most people would look at that situation and go like, oh yeah, like, you weren't gonna reason with the Nazis, of course. Like, clearly that wasn't gonna work. But at the time, that's what they fucking did. They did do that. Seriously. So many people talk about the rise of the Nazi Party as though it's this independent ascension to power. But if you actually go look, and this isn't like some deep dive into history, this is very, very basic, like 101 stuff, like the liberal establishment in Germany never took them seriously as an opponent, you know? The liberals essentially held the door open for them. Hitler himself has said it, the only thing that could have stopped them would have been for his movement to be smashed in its nexus. And what that meant, and by no means do I want people to apply what I am saying about the early Nazi Party to the modern-day Republican Party. Totally different situations, not at all comparable. What I mean is they should have all been arrested and shot back then in Germany, you know, and that would have stopped the whole, you know, Holocaust, which to me, I don't know, that seems like a pretty worthwhile moral trade-off. You can't live in a democracy and claim to care about that democracy unless you're willing to protect a democracy. You don't get to do that. You know, you have to protect the institution. Even the founding fathers, the Tree of Liberty and all that shit. And meanwhile, Republicans have been weaponizing this Tree of Liberty logic every time, what, gays get married or something? And here we have a Republican Party that is legitimately committed to anti-democratic values. I mean, they're screaming to the heavens. We will do a coup. We will revoke your civil rights. We do not live in reality. We'll break rules when we need to and twist them when we can get away with it. We don't need to beat the Republican Party. We need to convince them. This is, I don't know whether the Democrats are controlled opposition in the sense that they do it deliberately, but through their abstemiousness, they act as controlled opposition anyway. They are too weak to do anything about the Republicans. They can't. Is it deliberate? I don't know. I don't really care. We're not here to weigh their moral value as individuals. We're here to talk about the effect they're having on this country. And the effect they're having right now is, again, the Republicans are screaming at everyone, we will kill you. We will make it illegal to protest. We will invalidate the results of your elections. We will give the police the power to extrajudicially hunt you down, to arrest you, to kill you. We will stack judges against you. We will do everything we can within the frame of the law to make your life worse until we don't need the law anymore, and then we'll just kill you. And meanwhile, Democrats, we need to convince them. You can't convince them. It's not going to happen. And no, by the way, you know, you can say this this phony bipartisanship bullshit. You can say that it's some kind of optical consideration, but conservatives don't care about this, okay? When was the last time bipartisan rhetoric moved these, you know, these people away from their political position? It does not happen. Did it happen with Biden? Biden is a very bipartisan type president. You know, he's very light touch with his criticisms of the right, like in a fundamental sense. And how many Republicans voted for Biden? Was that like a big sweep, you know? Morbius sweep, you know? He just got, what? How many billions of Republicans did he? It didn't. Because you're not going to. Why would you think Republicans who wake up every morning and then browse through 8,000 tweets about how all trans people are demons that are trying to rape their children, every pink-haired elementary school teacher is a personal envoy of Satan, and the Democrats are plotting to establish FEMA detention centers to arrest all straight white men, and you think these people are going to be swayed by some milquetoast bipartisanship? You think these people are going to hear... Like, Republicans, if you are voting Republican in this day and age, your mind is gone. You're lost. You're out in the fucking phantom zone, okay? We've talked... Guys, how many conservatives have we talked to in this platform whose brain was even proximately rooted in reality? How many? How many? I think a lot of you missed the question there. The answer is 0. I'm asking how many of them were here. And yeah, none. It doesn't happen. Go on Twitter if you want. Go on Twitter. Go on MAGA Twitter. Do these people seem sane to you? Do they seem mentally well? Are they okay? Does it look like they're having like engaged conversations where they're, you know, recognizing the facts of the world and responding to them? They're all insane. It is politically indistinguishable from mental illness. They should be institutionalized. It's a cult psychosis, a fervent abandonment of reality driven by political circumstances rather than neurological. And that's what you have. You're not going to convince these people. You need to be stronger than them. And Democrats are weak, and they will get us all killed. How would you respond to people saying you're doing the ontologically evil meme unironically and that it's counterproductive? When was it a meme? And that it's counterproductive? I'd hit them with a rock. The idea, anybody who sincerely believes the Republican party right now is in a position where we can just work our problems out is actively delusional. You know, and liberals love to pretend that political violence is like this heinous thing, incompatible with democracy. Political violence built our democracy. What do you fucking think the Revolutionary War was? Jesus. What do you think the Civil War was? Like, the idea, like, oh, this is a... democracies and violence are incompatible. No, they're not. Democratic, politics. Though this is something that you do when you can. When you can't, you defend the democracy. This isn't even to speak of the systemic stuff. You know, how it's still political violence to pass laws expecting them to be, enforced by police officers, and you arrest people who disagree with the arbitrary decision-making of a group of people who may or may not have been elected by a majority of citizens who are, at best, ill-informed on the issues. You know, you can work that out however you want, but like the idea, like, well, you can't do that. That's your violence. Look, I saw this again. I've said it a million times before. Okay, we're all products. The only thing that's a meme about the ontologically evil thing is the ontologically bit, okay? You know, everyone is what they are because of sociological influences. That's from me to you to Hitler. Every single one of us. Under a different set of circumstances, almost every person has the potential to be a morally upstanding individual. Almost, maybe some people are like inherently like psychopathic or whatever, but I think that's a very small minority. You know, I think pretty much everyone can be like a good, morally upstanding person if they want. The problem is, a lot of people aren't, you know? Just because anyone can be doesn't mean everyone is. And I'm not going to twiddle my thumbs, while this country is being torn apart, while there's, a legitimate threat being posed at literally hundreds of millions of people. And you just, you toss your arms up in the air, you're like, well, you can't do anything about it because maybe in a different universe, these people wouldn't have been fucking miserable. You know, how do you fight wars then? As every ISIS soldier, if only they were born in Michigan, they could have grown and, lived a fair life. I don't know. Do what you want.